Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. Today, what we're going to do, something a little bit different. We're going to be doing questions and unpopular opinion. I sent the word out a few days ago that I was looking at doing something like this, so I got some hot messages and questions and stuff that you've sent to talk about, which should be fairly interesting, and hopefully, we can debate a few things and talk about a few things that have been buzzing in my comments. So I'll just jump right in. The first one is an unpopular opinion from PSG Eng, so I guess PSG English. So thanks for that. And he's saying, I think Ronaldinho is actually at least 2 times better than Neymar. So we'll kick off with that. I think Neymar gets a lot of bad rep from PSG fans, and I think the vision that we've got of the two players, it's funny, they get compared a lot, which I understand, but I think the vision is very troubled in the sense that Ronaldinho, we got him young, and honestly, we didn't get him at the peak of his career, and then he went on to do great things outside of PSG. When Neymar did great things in outside of PSG, and then in PSG was kind of on a downward trajectory, and I think that kind of plays a lot in the comparison. I think one was ascending, one was descending, and maybe ultimately in PSG, they were more or less on the same level, but just because of where they were in their career, we think Ronaldinho was a lot better. Honestly, for me, if I think about it, and I was going to think about it in two ways. One is was Ronaldinho better than Neymar when they were in PSG versus their careers overall? Because I think those are two distinct things. I think Ronaldinho in PSG, probably not 2 times better than Neymar. I loved Ronnie, honestly, the 2 seasons that we had with him in PSG were wonderful. And he had some moments of insane football. But at the same time, he was still a young guy coming out of Brazil for the first time, with a serious tendency to party and just do whatever he wanted. And some moments of inconsistencies in his game. And so, what he produced in the end, granted, he wasn't part of a dominant PSG team, but we didn't really get much in terms of trophies with him. We got some nice wins, but he didn't really carry PSG to a title win, for example, which then would have cemented him in terms of what he achieved. Versus Neymar, he came in, we thought he was going to be the one, that special one that get us to the Champions League. And ultimately, he kind of disappointed versus this. I think he still took us to the Final 4 or Final 8 in Lisbon during COVID, pretty much on his back. And he also had some moments of brilliance, but never really delivered over an extended stretch of time. And that's kind of where he fell short. So I think PSG career to PSG career, I would say they were probably about on the same level in the sense of, coming in with big expectations, delivering at some points on some games on some specific times, but never enough to really earn us trophy, earn us really big wins, and really put us on top where we would have wanted to be. And then for their overall careers, I think that one is hard as well. I think Ronaldinho had a better career overall than Neymar, because he did win the World Cup, he did win the Champions League, he did win the Ballon d'Or. Neymar, he did win the Champions League out of those things, but he never really delivered on the promise. I think in the end, he's the top goal scorer in history for Brazil, which is not nothing. But I think versus what could have been, there's always this taste of underachievement from Neymar. So I don't know if it's 2x better for Ronaldinho, but I definitely think total career versus total career, Ronaldinho is probably comes out on top in my mind. That was the first one. Second one from my friend Itzy, PSG Syndicate, I guess. That one was on Twitter. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, there's great things happening there. Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets too much hate, better than Neymar Jr. and Cristiano. So first, Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets too much hate. what kind of universe does Zlatan Ibrahimovic get set on? Like literally, like no one can afford to like take a crack at Zlatan Ibrahimovic because you'll kick your ass. So like you've got to be very polite with Zlatan. So it's funny actually. Like I talked once. Like I'll share an anecdote. Like I talked one with a guy who's like in marketing and advertising and like had the chance to attend a photo shoot where Zlatan was there, and he was saying that like the guy had like a really big mouth and big attitude with like some of the important folks, but with like really like the people who are actually doing the work and so on, it was actually super sweet and super nice and actually like pretty easy to manage. So that like that Zlatan arrogant image, it's awesome, but like, at the same time, it's also great that like it doesn't seem to apply to the actual people who are working hard. So mad respect to him for that. In terms of him being better than Neymar Jr. and Cristiano, so I'll take Cristiano out because I think like Cristiano, as much as I love Zlatan to bits, and I think he's like such a great player and great guy. Yeah, Cristiano is still like a step above, just in terms of the careers that he had, in terms of being able to bring his team to the top, in terms of delivering in the big moments, the trophies. Like Cristiano is something special, man, and like I think Cristiano is on top of Zlatan. Neymar, though, that one is a bit tough, honestly. I think Neymar probably had a higher ceiling than Zlatan in terms of what he could do on the pitch, but I think Zlatan refined what he does really to a T. And really delivered on what were his strong points and what he could do and so on. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it's a hard one. Maybe like if we think about what he did in PSG, I'll say yeah, probably like Zlatan over Neymar. But then like if we talk about absolute football, I think that one is a really like harder one to take a position on. So I'm not sure I'd give it to either one of them. Cool. Third one, unpopular opinion. My friend Red Capuno. Messi was one of the worst things to happen to the club. Added nothing, badmouthed the club on his exit. Had the worst run in the UCL with him, and at the end of the day, when he left, it was made out to be PSG that were the bad guys. He did not make it here because for the first time in his life, the team was not centered around him. He can only play with a starting 11 that completely built around, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so first, like, I don't think this one is such an unpopular opinion. I think once again, like a lot of PSG fans actually hold this view over Messi and what he did for us. Yeah, I think it's honestly it's such a shame. Like it's such a shame because like I'm not. I honestly I don't have a strong opinion on the whole like Cristiano Ronaldo versus Messi, like who's the GOAT and who's the better one of the two. But I really, really admire both of them, and I really, really admire Messi for the careers that he's had and all of the things he accomplished in Barcelona. And I think when he came to PSG, honestly, like I showed you before, I got the jersey that season. I was super hyped for it. And I think, all of the PSG fans were very hyped for it. When you see the welcome he got in the airport, the welcoming party in the Parc des Princes, yeah, like there was real love and expectations for it. And it didn't get delivered on. And, I think there were a number of ways in which the table wasn't set right. I do think like we didn't have a Messi-shaped gap in our team, and I don't think he was really like what we needed at this point. And I think at the same time, like yeah, we didn't have the right coach to be able to make the most out of it. He didn't have the best attitude as well. I think a lot of the blame can be laid out at his feet. And so yeah, ultimately it didn't work out. Was it like one of the worst things to happen to the club? Yeah, I mean, like in terms of the disappointment, for sure, I think like it's still, yeah, I think that's what I tend to agree with, honestly. It sounds harsh. I don't like maybe not one of the worst things to happen to the club because like ultimately like we still won trophies, we still like perform, we still sold a lot of jersey and got a lot of attention for it. So it's not like we got completely nothing out of it. But yeah, like the disappointment versus the hype that we had, it's probably like the biggest disappointment that we got out of a transfer to PSG. Honestly, like the disappointment about what Messi brought for me is bigger than, when we used to bring crap recruits either during QSI or even before that. I think that one was even worse because we really thought like, it's like the best player of all time is coming to play for our club. Like magic is gonna happen, and really like magic did not happen. Big disappointment, really big disappointment. All right, I'll slide into the question part of it because I had like a few interesting questions that I wanted to touch on as well. The first one is, do you think it's more likely that Doué linked to Madrid for some reason? I wanted to like touch on this one because I've heard it a few times, and I know it's like, the Spanish media is at work again, and like it always cracks me up / annoys me a fair bit. Like when they go and say, oh, Vitinha is going to come to Real Madrid. Oh, Desiree Doué is going to come to Real Madrid. Like, oh, like, all of our players, like, oh, they want nothing more than to come to Real Madrid. When by all accounts, like, we've got an amazing squad who's loving playing together, who have a big coach, and who can achieve great things over the coming years. So on this one, like, my personal sense and opinion is that like I don't think Desiree Doué is the kind of player who's going to be in the club for like his whole career or like for 10 years or something. I don't think he's going to leave in the near future. I think he's like right now is it's year 2 of a 5-year contract. So at minimum we have him for a year and a half more, or like 2 years and a half more likely. Before it go anywhere. I think the club is probably like already looking at renewing his contract and increasing his salary and kind of giving him some love. But ultimately, like, I do see him at some point, like maybe it go to Real or maybe it goes somewhere else. But I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon, and I don't think I don't think it's as easy to take a player out of PSG as some of the foreign media in Spain or in England tend to believe. And it was funny, like during last season Champions League, a lot of the English fans were like, oh yeah, this kid Doué is great. Like we should get him in Chelsea, or like we should get him in Manchester. It's like, guys, like PSG is a bigger club right now. So like, and we've got money. So you really have nothing to put on the table for him. Real Madrid, obviously, it's a bit different. There's a history, and it's like there's a mythic element around it. But I don't think anytime soon would be the short answer for this one. And no Vitinha either. We're keeping that one. Second question, and this one I wanted to broader point. Someone was saying, our HR Rahman, saying, I heard the news that Lucho wants Endrick. What's your thinking about that? And he said, like, for me, it's not necessary because we have Engine 2. So first, like, mad love and respect for Engine 2, but, like, honestly, I'll take Endrick over him, like question asked. I mean, like, so it'd be even better, but Endrick is, by all accounts, a special kind of talent. And it's actually interesting because I also saw, like, there were rumors yesterday about Julian Alvarez saying he wants to move to PSG out of nowhere. So I don't know if it's like, once again, Spanish media just filling in column niches and trying to use PSG to get some clicks and some comments, or if there's a bigger thing at play. Ultimately, like what Luis Enrique had said is that they will look at the first half of this season to see how the squad is doing in terms of what they want to put in place and how they want to develop tactically, but also physically. Whether we're going to be facing injuries for the whole season, whether there's something like strenuous about it, and then based on that decide what they want to do and how they want to evolve moving forward. And I think with Ramos underperforming overall since the beginning of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a conversation at some point about like what do we bring in versus get out in terms of our line of offense. And if a player like Ramos is on the chopping block in January or in June, we're going to have to bring in someone to replace, or like we could even bring someone over him as well. I think a player like Endrick, a player like Julian Alvarez, they bring really, really interesting profiles to the squad in terms of being able to be that ball-playing number 9 and interpret a role in a different way from what Dembele is doing, but also like, yeah, really good technically, can drop and organize the game, but also can score goals for fun and maybe have a little bit more of a killer instinct up front. So it's still a long way to go, and like, you know, we'll see, because I've been watching football for too long, but like a rumor mid-October, 99.9% of the time, there's nothing to it. So I'm not jumping on a hype train or anything, but I do think like we're likely to see a conversation around like how we evolve our line or attack and our number 9 position in particular in the coming mercatos. Cool. And then the last one I wanted to touch on, because I think this one is super interesting and doesn't get talked about enough. We're talking with my man Sis Mekli, saying like we're talking about the financial fair play, and he's asking like how limiting are those new financial fair play rules for the next winter and summer transfer markets if we don't win the Champions League. So the new rules that have been in place for like the past couple of years now is essentially we need to hit a ratio between our overall revenue and what we spend on our players. And what we spend on our players include transfer fees, bonuses, and salary. And all of this put together needs to be less than 70% of our revenue. And so, you know, I think PSG overall, our budget this year, like I think the past few years, we've been around 800, 900 million euros. So it means like we cannot spend more than, I guess, like probably somewhere in the area of 600 million euros. The difficulty is that rule is going to stay and keep happening in the coming years. And we have a lot of uncertainty when it comes to our domestic TV rights. It hasn't escaped your notice. Right now, like the French league is trying to build their own streaming platform, which I've actually been using, and I think it's doing a pretty good job at it. But in the short term, it means the revenues that we get from that, it's far from guaranteed. It's a little bit more dodgy than, you know, if we had a 10-year deal with Amazon or Canal Plus or whatever it might be. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. And the reality is that, yeah, like, you know, next year after, like we don't win the Champions League, there's not a Club World Cup to bail us out. And all of a sudden, like our 800 million budget, it's 600 million. And then like your 70%, it's not 600, 700 million euro anymore, it's 400 million. And if you've committed to salary, if you've committed to big transfer fees that, you know, get broken down and split year on year, that puts you in the red very, very easily. And so that's what we're hearing from PSG when they talk about contract extensions. They're saying, we're not going to be silly. We're not going to put ourselves in a situation which might create trouble for ourselves down the road. We're going to keep like working well in terms of finance. And I think it's the reality of it as well is that the stadium conversation, the Qatar willing to bring more money into the pot, all of this is you know, in flux and conversations that are happening. And so I don't think it's a restriction right now. I think like we've worked well for the past few years, that we're in a good situation. But yeah, at the same time, like I don't expect us to go for Yamal for 300 million next summer, just because like, yeah, that would very, very easily put us in the red at some point, and we don't want that. So, anyways, these were like kind of the big questions and unpopular opinions that I had for you guys. There we go. Please hit the like button if you like this. Let me know in the comment what you think of all of those. Any more unpopular opinions, like please share them. Second video, yeah, I see the two, like second video commenting the comments. So I'll try to do something like this regularly. I think it's a great format, and like I love talking with you guys. So I try to answer every comment. Sometimes I miss some, but I really do try. So let me know in the comment what you think of all of these questions, the unpopular opinion. Would you want Endrick or Julian Alvarez to come to the club? And yeah, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button to keep notified. And don't forget, as always, ici c'est Paris!